Hey guys, good evening. It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. We might lose you tonight during the show. I know we have some bad weather outside, but hopefully we'll be able to get through the show quickly and not be interrupted. So thank you for being with me, whether you're here at 8:25 p.m. and it's currently stormy, depending on when you're watching this, and or 8:25 a.m. 3 a.m., 3 p.m., maybe 12 noon or 12 midnight. It doesn't really matter. Thank you so much for being here. Do check out my hat, believemeachieve.com, for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. I really do appreciate you guys checking all my stuff and following me. Thank you very, very much. So our master topic for the week is captivating life stories that will change your life. Series 3, show 26. That's what we have. And let's get into the granular topic, shall we? How to engage your audience. Series 3, show 26, episode 5. That series 3 means we're in the third year, by the way. So the first thing you want to do when you're talking with an audience is you want to change to a conversation style. Does that make sense? You want to change to a conversation style. And it has to do with the fact that conversation style is different. It has something to do when the fact that a conversation style is different. It's not like a direct statement. It's different. All right. And so just understanding that is a big difference. So when I say to you, when you give a presentation, turn the presentation to a conversation style. That might seem a little crazy. More of a friendly approach. You can have a friend ask a question before maybe each slide pops up, or someone in the audience that you know. It'll make it a little more easy and digestible. And it won't seem like you're trying to hammer points down. Because that's what happens if you go to some presentations. I mean, they just do that. I mean, it's just terrible. All right. So the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is when we think about, what happens in our life. I think the big thing we have to understand is that, the audience out there, they like to get conversation styles. They really do, they really do like to get that. And, when you can embrace a conversation, I think that can really change and shape the world for you, because it seems less threatening, less intimidating. Okay. That's what it sounds like. Okay. And so, the next point I want to make, which I think is a very, very important point, ladies and gentlemen, is when you're doing something, you want to do something in a way that is going to point out something, about the audience or maybe about the surrounding. Okay, those are important things that you can do. And so when you choose to do that, it's like you're not being that typical speaker, right? You're being somebody just a little bit different. And I think the audience, in kind adapts to that. They like that. When somebody comes in there and just tries to pound, they're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do that. So what could you point out about the audience? Well, maybe it could be something like the color of the room. It could be the vastness of the windows. Well, a lot of conference centers don't have windows. It could be the temperature. It could be the fact that, there's 4 levels and there's lights on different levels. You could point out something that just draws their attention. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. But what is a good point to share about a large, let's say, theater or stadium, when you are presenting? What would you think that would be? Understand that there are parts, there are arrangements, right? There's the front of the house, there's the back of the house. And so when you're on stage, you have to understand that, there's stage left and there's stage right. So you say, hey, everyone, so I'm not sure. How many of you guys have been to an audience before? Have you been to an audience before? Okay, great. How many of you know when I say stage left? How many when I say stage left actually, which way do you look? Stage left is to my left, right? Stage left. So if I say, look, stage left, you're actually looking to the right. And so just understanding those little things, if I say, look, stage right, you're looking stage left. So just that little thing is kind of something interesting, and it gets people to feel a little bit more comfortable with, what they're doing. And I think that's a good thing, is to understand, the keys, right? The keys to, as I said, engaging your audience. Because a lot of people get up on stage, they want to get going. And they get on stage, and for whatever reason, they just try to blow right through it. But people are not following, right? Have you ever had a teacher where, they just move on so quickly, but you can't really follow what they're saying? Not because you're not smart, not because they're not smart, but because they're not really paying attention to you. So if you just spill all this stuff out to your audience, and the audience is just looking like in a daydream, like up in the sky, right? They're looking at the lights, or they're looking like above you. Like they have no clue what you just said. Okay. And so point out to them, hey, looking up there is great, but if anybody's lost, all I want you to do, if anybody's lost, would you just raise your hand for me? Okay. Or you guys can just look up into space like you've been doing. But I like hands. Hands are a little easier to notice. And so when you think about, being on stage, or maybe you think about being in an audience, the first thing that would maybe go through your mind is, how is the speaker going to talk to us? What's the format going to be like? Is it going to be this like profuse array of slides? And is it going to be trying to cram like a 4-hour talk in like an hour? You know what I mean? Sometimes people just don't realize that even though you want to condense the information, you have to not condense the time. I've been in so many workshops and trainings where like, oh, well, we have to spend all day. I'm like, but we don't have all day. So then they try to cram an 8-hour thing into 4 hours. That's just like pathetic. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't get, but it's something that I believe we as speakers and we as members of an audience need to understand. It's not hard. Maybe I could point out to you about the temperature in the room. Okay, maybe I could do that. Maybe I could point out to you about the fact that, there's actually 8 aisles in our theater. Or did you guys know that there is 17,000 miles of fiber optic providing lights in this theater? Did you guys know that there are 7 elevators that bring things up to the stage? Did you guys know that the entire show that you're watching today, we spent a couple days programming the lights and making sure everything is just right, so that when we ran the show today, everything is right on cue? See, the whole idea when you get up on stage is to make it look like everything's going to go smoothly, and it does. But there's a lot of planning that has to go into that. Now, when you come out here for this day, I want to make sure that you get the best out of the experience you can get, that I make it the most conducive so that you can learn. Because we all know that, there's reasons why you might lose your focus. So I want to make this as interesting, as compelling, and as fun as possible. So you'll not only learn, but you'll also be able to have fun at the same time. All right. So another thing that happens with a lot of groups is, they start to go off the Never Never Land. Ask thought-provoking questions. These are not questions like, what color is your car? What'd you have for breakfast? No, these are more deeper questions. Like, what if you received that $10 million tomorrow? What would you do with it? Or the question might be more specific. So you just received $10 million tomorrow, you found out in your bank account. It's legitimate. Somebody left it to you. And who's the first person you're going to help? Are you going to help anybody? Is it your family? Would you help them? Would you help any friends? How would you help them? Maybe another question might be a very thought-provoking question is, if you were on stage right now and I was in the audience, what would you want to talk about? Now, I'm not asking you to do that, but I'm just asking you to picture yourself as if you were on stage and I go down and sit where your seat is. And I have you come up for a 5 or 10 minute. Now, I'm not going to do this anyway, so don't panic. But you have 5 minutes to come up and present something. What story would you share with all of us? And remember, the story is being told because we all want to learn a lesson and you want to teach us something. Do you have a story in your mind? Do you know how you would tell that story? If you could think of that story right now in your mind, get a good picture of it. Notice what you saw, what you heard, what you felt, right? Smelled, what you really felt inside your heart. Are you starting to feel those feelings now? Yes, because see, our memories are very good at going back in the moment, but our memory doesn't know whether it's real or whether it's imagined. So when we imagine success, our dendrites still fire and the synapses fire. And that's a really remarkable thing. We actually are able to relive. This is why I think I've shared this with you guys before. There was a group of athletes, okay? And these athletes, there were 3 sets of athletes, okay? The one set of athletes actually said, they were going to go study, okay? And the next group of athletes also study. The third group, okay, but let's just assume that they study, but now they finished studying. And now the coach says they need to practice. So one group actually came to the gym and they practiced every single day after they studied. The next group studied, but after they studied, they closed their eyes and they imagined playing basketball. They imagined holding the ball, dribbling it, passing it, seeing what was happening. The third group did absolutely nothing. Does that make sense? And if we can understand that, then I think the biggest thing that you'll start to realize is that our body will go where you want if you go there in the mind. So when these students were doing this, the question you probably ask yourself is, which one actually did better? Well, first of all, the one that practiced every day, they did great. And the one that practiced in their mind, they did just as well, if not better. And the third group that didn't practice at all well, they were terrible. And so if we can understand that, then we know that if we close our eyes and we imagine those dendrites and neurons, they still keep firing in our body because of our mind. Somebody once told me, John, in order to manifest something in life, you have to first create it in the mind and then you create it again in life. But you have to first create it in your mind. So to engage my audience, I want to get them to create something in their mind so that when they leave, they have the opportunity to create it in real life. Now, people that say to me, John, that's all nonsense. No, it's not. Meditation, these mind techniques, they've been used with athletes and many people through many coaches. And I have to tell you that it's amazing because it gets your body on a pathway that you didn't even know existed. All right? I got one more point. That other point is finish with a chance for your audience to reflect. Say something like this. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been, as you know, a privilege, pleasure, and honor to be with you this entire day here at the Coliseum, giving you tips on how to become a better version of yourself. And as we're about to close the curtain on today's show, I want to ask each and every one of you right now, in your mind, to go back and think, what 3 things did you learn today from John's seminar? What 3 things? And what's the first thing that you're going to start to practice? Now, before we go, we're almost done. We have a few more minutes left. I ask them to close their eyes, and I ask you to picture that one thing. I ask you to picture yourself in that environment. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you touching? What are you smelling? What are you feeling like? What's that environment like? And I want you to see yourself in that environment doing what it is you said you want to do, that you learned from my techniques today. Did everybody do that? Can everybody go through that process in their head maybe 3 or 4 times? Then I slowly wake everybody up. I was like, now you feel really confident. And it's easy to feel confident when you're in front of me. The key is when you leave to go do something right now. Nike said it best. Do it now. Don't wait. Do it now. So when you leave here and you get in your car or the bus and you get home, I want you to do it now. And if it's something at work, I want you to do it now. Right when you get there in the morning, do it now. I don't want to hear that you're going to do it later. Because when you do it later, you're going to lose the momentum. You're going to lose the reason for your purpose. And they're like, oh, I can't really do that. So I want you to stay motivated. I want you to believe. Because when you believe, ladies and gentlemen, you will achieve. So to finish strong with this conference, I would tell everyone right now to get up and give yourself a huge round of applause, and then we play some amazing song. When we go to sports games, we're so revitalized by that music they play. If you're in the doldrums during the day, play some music. Get something that's going to supercharge your body and your mind. And get going. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It's been a privilege, pleasure, and honor to be with you this fantastic evening. I hope you'll like, love, and support the channel. Comment below. Tag your friends, colleagues, and associates. Share this out with everyone you know on social media. Don't forget to like me on TikTok as well. Really appreciate that. And I'll catch you guys real soon.